Welcome, welcome. Hi, I'm Peggy.
Hey, hi Peggy. It's great to finally see you like in real life.
Yeah, in real life.
Yeah,
I'm
I've seen you on
touchable.
social media so much. So it's kind of like nice to actually see you.
Thank you so much. Can you tell me how you pronounce your cool name?
Romy.
Romy,
Yep.
as in the Italian city in an E. Okay, got it.
Yes, yes,
Okay,
exactly.
Romy.
Yes.
So when you didn't answer me back though, as we're waiting for other people to come in. This is Kayla. Kayla,
Hi,
Romy.
Kayla.
Hi.
Um,
Yeah, I love your name.
Thanks.
I love your background. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm like 90% virtual, so I'm always switching these up.
Oh yeah, me too, but I just can't mess with it. um, but you didn't get back to me to tell me, is that kiddo, can they say crab or are they saying crab?
They say crab.
They say crab. Then don't
Mhm.
teach crab. It is
Okay.
so hard to break them of that.
Okay. And I mean, she's not doing good holding out the anyway. So I had kind of paused that for a moment because it wasn't effective.
Hmm.
But I had read before and seen like other webinars where they say, oh, well, if they can produce those glottal sounds with the R, have them
Yes.
elongate it to isolate the but it just wasn't working for our kiddo. So that has been on
Yeah.
pause. But then I'm like, well, then where do I go from here to really help her get that
I can
So
tell you my California girl that I was working with that had worked with four other speech paths and never got her she was taught to stretch and to put the insertion in all the blends. And it took 3 months every day, 5 days a week to break her of the habit.
wow.
So if you think about that, let's say 20 days in a week for sessions, we're going to get started here in just a minute. If people don't come in, it's whatever. It's Friday. It's Friday.
Yeah.
Um, but uh, she she couldn't break that habit. It was so ingrained in her. And I think a lot of it is from teachers saying, "Oh, here's the BR blend." We say
Right.
"brr,"
Yes.
and then they're
Yes.
trying to get words that they know, like breakfast. And so they'll say breakfast. And then there's Tony the Tiger. You're too young, but it used to be a cereal
Yeah.
mascot.
Wasn't that a
And he said,
frosted flakes?
great with Frosted Flakes, right? And
Right.
so kids have learned that throughout the years, but it's really, really hard to break them of it. So if we can avoid it, let's avoid it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't see anyone else coming in right now, so we're going to get started. And let's see, the recording is on. That's great. So I want to make sure that I share my sound. We've got everything rolling here the right way. And Romy, I want to let you know that, and Kayla, that I'm not a perfect person. And this has been a real work in progress for me to learn how to do all the things. So I'm so glad you're here. I thank you for coming. And let's learn a little bit more about R together. So here
Can
we
I
go.
ask a question? Is this going to be recorded so we can go back if we need to?
Yes, the recording should have been on for a cue for you to accept. It
Oh,
was for
okay,
you,
okay. I just
Romy.
wasn't, maybe I didn't remember. Okay.
That's okay. It's a great question. I appreciate the question because I can be forgetful. So, anyways, I'm Peggy. I've been a speech path for 40 years. I have worked a lot of that in schools and more recently in private sector doing teletherapy 99.9% of the time. I had a brick and mortar for 10 months and that didn't work out so well for me. So here I am again, teletherapy, and I have a passion for R. Romy, you said that you see me on social media. That's all I talk about. I really do. And it all stems from when I was a young clinician and I was working in a private practice. I had a fourth grader assigned to me. He was lovely. His parent was a vet. They're really well-educated parents. He was so bright himself, and he tried for a year to do school speech therapy to fix his R. Nothing worked, nothing. And then he started with me, one time a week, coming to the clinic, paying good money. And after a few months, we still didn't have an at all. Fourth grader. No success. And so his parents withdrew him. And I was so sad. I get really hurt when my kids don't do well. And I was so sad for him because I knew I'd let him down and I didn't want that for him. So I vowed to never let that happen again. I didn't know what I didn't know, but I was not going to let that happen. So I researched, I started taking courses from Shar Boshart, and Pamela Marcella. I actually was able to see her in person one time, and I've done all the peachy speechy videos. She puts anything out, I'm on it, and I use them, and I love them. But then when I found the entire world of R, everything started to click. I understood, what are those clinicians talking about vocalic R? Oh, okay. So now that I know, and now that I can help a lot of people, I really want to help 100 more people, at least, to say their well. And if I just do that at like 10 people a year, that's going to take me a long time. So that's why it's led me to you all. And so I can maybe help you help them. So you saw this in the emails. What will you learn? So let's go right into it. Key factors. And as clinicians, we know that kids can't see inside of our mouths to help them say the R well, and they don't usually, that I know of, have X-ray vision to look through. It's interesting too, to me, that they have difficulty with hearing their own R mistakes, but it's very common. You're nodding your head, so I guess you've seen it too and appreciated that issue. They can't easily move their tongues. Sometimes I wonder about tongue ties. I'm just saying. And kids don't understand that R does not sound the same in all words. A B is a B is a B is a B is a B unless it's a silent B in comb. But an R is not the same from one position to the other in words. And that is exactly what I was taught in school at MSU. I was taught that we had beginning, middle, and ending positions of words, and you teach all the consonants that way. And I found out that the R doesn't play nice. It doesn't play by those rules. So certainly we do have R beginning words and R blends, but those middle and final positions, those are all dependent on the root of the matter, the syllable. So let's take a closer look. So I made this diagram for my kids working on because I kept saying is the root. Well, what do you mean? A tree root? One of my guys said, what do you mean, Peggy, a tree root? And I was like, yeah, a tree root. Yes, because it all stems from there. Get it? So we've got the R beginning words, but we also have R, air, ear, ire, o'er, our. There are not too many of those words. Earl, and then the blends, bruh, pruh, truh, druh, ruh, cruh, fruh, and then even more complicated are those ones in the middle there, the messy middle, the shruh and the thruh and the scruh and the spruh and the struh. So that's why I say is the root of all our words, even beginning our words in our blends. So I imagine you can see now how those different vocalic makes these kind of words different from one another for a kid to say them. And also why they might be so frustrated, because they might absolutely be able to say beginning R's, ring, but they might not be able to do world at all. And that's confusing. That's frustrating. So let's try an activity, shall we?
Yes.
So if I give you a minute, I don't know if you are both home or not, but if you are, if you could go to your kitchen and find one or two things, just one or two, that have the letter R in their name. And I can put on the timer and I'll meet you back here. And if it's too big, like there's some appliances in the kitchen that are too big, but they do have ours, don't try to bring those. Just tell us what they were. So, ready? Everybody? Okay, I got my timer. Go. Let's see what you find. Dang! 34 seconds left, Romy.
I ran to that kitchen.
Let's see what Kayla. There's Kayla too. Great job. 22 seconds left to spare. We're all back.
Sweating over here, running to the kitchen.
No
I'm in
sweating.
my office. I was like, what do I grab?
So if we think about the word, the word types, we've got these. So I went ahead and I made a little form here. Can you both see the form that I switched to, the Google form?
Yes.
So what did you find?
I found fork.
Okay, so fork, what do you think? What category does that belong in?
In the or. In the
Great.
second. Yeah.
Yes, fork. Great. Anything else?
A wine stopper.
Nice for a Friday evening. Good choice. Which one does that belong in?
For the
Great.
That
Wines. Whoops. I can't spell. It's like I had some wine. No. Wine stopper. Great. Okay, Kayla, what did you find? Oh, Kayla, I can't hear you. You're just muted.
Scissors.
Oh, great. Okay.
Um, and I found a marker, but also
Great.
kids will use crayons a lot, like at school. So maybe
Okay.
marker crayon combo.
Awesome.
I
So
looked, yeah.
what types?
Scissor would go under
Aha. And so many kids, we know they think those are or words, right? Everyone? It's
Oh,
not.
yeah, that is true. Yeah, because it's spelled
That's what they think.
O-R.
That's what they're trying to learn how to do, is that sound spell correlation. What else? Let's see. Marker.
Marker, which is
I-
spelled and also
Okay. So we've got marker, but what about the mark?
Oh, R.
Yeah.
AR, yeah.
So that's a double right
It's
there.
a double.
Two.
Mm-hmm. Recurrent. Mm. And then crayons.
Crayon, it's a blend.
Yeah. So, and then I also pulled a jar of almond butter. So, what about that? Jar? Which group,
Jar.
girls?
AR.
AR, jar, and butter for almond butter.
Yes, for the ER.
ER, right? Almond, oops, can't spell today. Almond butter. And then I found one more. It's tricky, but not. But it is, but it's not. Measuring cup. Which one?
Measure. I would say Measure.
Yeah. And they want to say jur. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, That's the zh plus the Yeah.
And a
Measuring
lot of
cup.
them struggle with the zh. So then the zh and the it's like, it sounds like marbles.
Yes. And that has a lot to do with tongue bracing. So that is a really good observation that you have there. So we can see which one wins the most.
Across the board.
Across the board. Absolutely. So getting back to our lesson here, our presentation, let me just go ahead and get that back pulled up. Thanks for waiting, everyone. So now we have to see, how does that apply to kids in their functional lives? And it applies to them when they're reading, whether they're homeschoolers or traditional school or private school. Reading is a big part of their lives. And from kindergarten through third grade, the old adage is kids learn how to read. And then from third grade on up, they have to read to learn. And it's at the crux of everything. So let's look at how reading impacts. So in elementary schools, a lot of the time teachers will reference the Dolch list and the Fry list. And the Dolch words are sight words that are a set of high frequency words that children are encouraged to recognize primarily by sight, so that their fluency is strong for their reading fluency, not what we often go, ooh, stuttering? No, reading fluency. So their reading fluency is strong. These are the words. So they were designed to be kindergarten, first, second, third grade word list, plus nouns that would be common in their reading books. And what I've done is I've extrapolated or pulled out all those Dolch words that have R in them somehow. And then if we look at the Fry lists, the Fry lists are approximately, well, no, they are 100 words per each grade level. In kindergarten, though, it's only about 50 words that they're expected to know. But look at fourth grade. The learning curve is steep there for R.
Yeah.
Speaking of my fourth grader, and maybe that's why it was so important to them. I don't know. I never knew this before. So reading the R words and being able to write the R words and not have that W or L writing error that the teachers will often alert us to. Hey, not only are they saying it incorrectly, now they're writing it incorrectly. So I took all the R words out of those lists and made a list for all of us to have. So when you're thinking about teaching elementary kids R words, we often are like, well, what do we teach? I mean, what should we focus on? What would be most impactful? These words, they're expected to know anyway, so they would be a great one to use. And then I didn't do it with a Fry list yet, but I did do it with the Dolch list. I separated those out into the different word types. And I have that for everyone once I send out the replay.
Awesome.
I hope you find it helpful.
Yes, yes.
So how do we start? We have to target the with mouth workouts of the lips and the tongue. And this might go against what you've learned, but you got to use a mirror, because I'm going to tell you something quite different. Most speech therapists were taught, don't let them round their lips because they'll say a W sound. But I don't know about you. I don't say wagon like wagon. And I don't say when. I just did it on purpose. Oops. Winter, I don't necessarily say it with tightly rounded lips. But if kids learn to tightly round their lips, it collapses their cheeks and makes that area inside smaller to help them get that tongue up higher and tighter. So this tightness here facilitates the tongue to be tighter too. And the way that I help kids understand that in a mirror is to have them do pucker really tight, straw hole opening or smaller, and smiles with their teeth in a bite. Then the tongue. There are so many things that the tongue has to do to get in just the perfect location for a good This is the Reader's Digest version. The next page is not. But they have to lift up the sides of their tongue to touch and push or brace against the molars in the back. They have to slide the tongue slightly back, and they have to tighten the tongue as they firmly lift, I say, like a helmet shape or like an arch shape into the roof area, the roof space of their mouth. Or they can curl their tongue tip back. That sometimes works too. So when we think about the let's watch. This is from Speech Tutor, and you can get these videos for free. You go to their site, and I have that linked in our resources page for you to have after the session. But we were taught a long time ago that there's bunched R and there's retroflex R, or bunch your tongue back or curve your tongue tip back for retroflex. But now we have learned through research that there's really 21 ways to make the sound. And if you look at the tongue, you can see that arch or that bunch or that helmet tongue shape of the tongue going back toward those back molars. You can't see it from the front view of this, but if you get on their or their email list, they will send it to you so you can see a front view too. So that's really helpful. So there's the bunch perspective, and here's a retroflex. And it does give kids a real good understanding of looking in with an X-ray sort of what that might look like in their mouth. Back to our presentation. Did you guys have any questions about that?
I have a question about the pucker and smile. So do you suggest that we do that at the beginning of every session to kind of work on the movements?
I tend toward it, but once they have it real tight and they know real tight to pucker, because it's really the pucker, that's really all we need for the We don't need the S and Z, but we do need the pucker for the So once they can understand that cue, you can say, oh, you're not rounding tightly. And then if they don't understand, I would go back to it for sure. Okay. For sure. Yeah. But it is pretty quick as far as learning all the things. It is a pretty quick learning process for pucker smile, I would say. I had one girl, she took a long time to get this part of her lips to pucker. She got this like this, but she couldn't get that rounding. And finally I just said, well, just flush them in and just hold it there and then tighten them down. And so it's a great question. It depends. This all depends. So to get that and Romy, you were asking, well, how do we get that It's a great question because we all want to know, right? So this is the process that I teach kids to try to get that tongue strength and lift and see if they can get it. Carla is another thing. There are a couple books even out there. Peachy Speechy just put out another book about how do you get the R sound. Whole books just to get the So, but this is the one that I found the most consistently works. So, wide tongue to relax their tongue on their bottom lip. Then tongue bowl to lift up the sides outside of their mouth so they can visualize it in the mirror. Then slide the sides up and back into your mouth. Then arch. You have to get that blade of the tongue to go up into the oral cavity, up into the roof space, because so many of us were taught, well, try butterfly tongue as the wings as our sides, but I kept noticing my kids' tongues were concave. And they would say, I am pushing my sides of my tongue. But that's what I saw instead of the whole blade of the tongue going upward. So arching the tongue into the roof of your mouth, rounding your lips tightly. Can you just feel the tongue being pushed into that space easier that way? Then say, shh. And then try to push higher or back up the tongue slightly more to say the er. And I would say, Romy, you would want even tighter lips. Yep. See how your cheeks are contracting down?
Yeah.
So there are additional helpful tools out there. One that's really interesting and starting to gain some great momentum is the Start app. Have you guys tried it?
Yes, I feel like I'm not using it the right way. Like I've done the tutorials on it, but I feel
Mm-hmm.
like when it comes to actual application with a client, I feel like I'm not doing it the right way.
Well, here's a couple of things. Since you mentioned you do so much of your work in teletherapy practice, if they don't have a mic, mouth mic, and Kayla, yes, you have a mouth mic. If they have a mouth mic, not one of these little lapel darned cordy things, but if they have a boom mic off to the side of their headset, it works a little bit easier. Also, if you can give them this link or the parent the link to open up the app on the computer, that works better. And then have them reverse share to you instead. That works better. But what part of it is difficult for you for the
Think it's when I do it, it comes out great. But when they do it and I try to guide them to get it closer to where it needs to go, they lose it. Um,
Well, and I found this interesting. Do you know that there's this little tab up here with the SLP info?
oh, okay.
Did you know that?
I did well, no, I usually like when I set up the profile for the student, that's where I try to
Mhm.
do it based on their age and everything. Um,
Okay.
but I hadn't noticed that part with the SLP info on top.
Yeah. And I usually, just for HIPAA and being very careful about clients' privacy, I don't usually set up clients in this. So I just go, okay, is my girl under 9 years old? Is my girl above 9 years old? And I click these hertz, and it does make a difference. So here's a teenager. And then this is a frequency for a little girl. So having them do the app on their computer, maybe screen sharing to you, might help.
Okay.
Sometimes if you've got a lag, if you know you're like having Wi-Fi internet connection lag at all, then don't do it at all. It's so frustrating. So frustrating. So, but if you come across like something specific, you can always ask Dr. McAllister, Tara McAllister. She is so responsive to questions.
Yeah,
Um,
she's great. I actually went to NYU, so
oh, you did
I yeah,
not
I mean
get
years ago,
out. Lucky
but yeah,
you.
but my loans aren't saying lucky me
Oh,
inside
well,
of
I get that too. I totally understand that point of view. Yes, yes. But wow, that's really phenomenal that you were in the midst of their teams and stuff working
Yeah.
on these very helpful things. Another thing to try is Articulation Station. That's a great tool. I don't know if you've used it or not. Parents can buy just the R sound set, and they've got isolation through 2-sentence stories with that. It records the child, it plays it back. A long time ago when I was young, if I just put some money into that one, I bet you I'd be making some good bucks, because that has been around for a while and it's just lovely. And I refer everybody I work with, well, what do you want to practice at home? Do this. Costs, I don't know, $7.99 or something like that for that app just to do one sound set. Is so worth it. And the kids love to record themselves and the power of playing it back. So beginning R is different. Still, we have to do the sound, but then we have to get even tighter in the middle part of the top lip. This is what's made the difference for kids that I work with. And even I have a 20-year-old adult guy that's working on his R. He never had speech therapy all through school until the last 6 months of high school. So, yeah. And he was at about maybe 20% when I did his evaluation of sound. And it's this pushing down of the middle portion of the upper lip that helps them blow it out easier. So we have to get the tongue sides up and braced, and we have to get the lip rounding, and we have to have that straw hole opening. And then to say read, we actually have to push down with force. Read, ring, because, and I have a guy right now, he was taught that all the he was taught that our beginning words were this. Read, write. And he's 17 and he's saying, I'm right. And I said, no, you're not. Sorry. That's not it. So we have to help them through that process of learning to squash or extinguish that pattern too. So how do we put it all together? This is what I love to show parents when I'm first meeting them with their kids. I'll try to get them to say an like girl. And a lot of kids can do that. Again, we get that back G sound with the and all that tightening of the scrunching of the tiger face to say grr. And we get grr, grr, grr. And then if we can get roll, then we can get, and I often tell kids, nobody tells you this, and all the literacy people are going to argue with me, but it's really 2 syllables. It's girl, and world, and curl, and coral. It's not just 1 syllable, and kids struggle because they're trying to get their tongue in both places, up high and forward, in a portion of a millisecond to say that word, girl. So we know from research, you just mentioned you're at one of the big researching universities, that research shows if we can get 100 trials, that significantly boosts a child's ability to improve their sound production. And so if the child is interested in baseball, get a baseball list. There's tons of them free on a Google image search and on TPT. This one's from Peachy Speechy. Surprise, surprise. And it's a 4 sports sheet set that's for free. And then I also have one from Natalie Snyder's, and those have some cutesy animals on them. So I have that in our reference or resources list for you that you can download for free.
Great.
So, whoa, this is like, people don't understand this, especially the younger clinicians. Some younger clinicians that I've met were taught, don't practice isolation, don't practice syllables, practice where they are in words. And I highly disagree with that teaching strategy. But if we're working on correction, and now we know that it's the root of everything, it takes, just to work on and in syllables, 12 to 60 sessions to get the Some kids are faster than others. Some kids will catch on to it so fast and the memory kicks in and the motor planning kicks in and they've got it. But some other kids that have been working with this speech therapist and that speech therapist and grandma trying to teach them and Uncle Rob trying to teach them his name, they don't know. So we have to have that belief for them. We all want to encourage them and give them hope for sure, but we have to believe it. It's going to arrive and let them know that. That's really important. And if they could do it by themselves, they would, but they can't. So it's hard. It's so hard. It's like making a presentation. It's so hard for me. But it's so hard to fix that sound. And you need to validate those hard, challenging things and let them know that you fully believe in them. That goes a long way. And we, as speech therapists, we know this, but it bears repeating, I think. And honest feedback is the only way to go, because that sounded good. Doesn't help them if it didn't sound like an adult version of If they don't hear positive reinforcement or the not yet reinforcement of cancel that one in the brain, try again, that was closer. I see how you're trying so hard. But not to tell them yes and placate them by, that sounded good. That will never, ever, ever work. Ever. It's like saying, oh, you're doing a good job on your weight loss, Peggy. How much have you lost? And I've only lost 1 pound in 3 months. Well, that doesn't really give me information that I can use that I'm doing the right thing. So this is the reference page that I was referring to, where I've also, since Romy, you do teletherapy, and I don't know the ages that you work with, but let me show you real quick if you're not familiar. Toy Theater has, has a hundreds chart that I just love. That is terrific. The guy that's 17, he picks different colors for me every session. And I'm having a hard time keeping it straight sometimes. But if he says a good and he said, today was orange and red. So red was good, which is opposite of my brain thinking. So he said, really well. And then he did it a couple more times and then he didn't. And so they can see as you get to your 100 trials here, it becomes quite evident what they're doing. And this is even quicker than doing the hundreds chart paper and pencil type of look. So this, and I always give them the choice of the colors. And when I mess up, because I'm not a perfect person at all, then they can say, that isn't correct, or, oh, that was a good R. Oh, thanks for telling me. Or, you're wrong. Oops, you're right. I'm wrong. Good R. Or can you say that better with your good wrong? I would love you to tell me I'm wrong again. That would be fun, right? Wrong. Okay. Right.
That's great. I actually hadn't heard of Toy Theater. Like the other ones I do have like I use often, but for Toy Theater I hadn't heard about that one. So that's great. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. And they have such cute games too that are free. The two that I use the most are Uno. This is a great, and I always turn off the sound because I can't stand that jazzy thing when I'm trying to hear them because I'm listening for the Reds.
Right.
And if they just tried to win and no, they lost or whatever. So that's a great one. Another great one is Snakes and Ladders on their version. And I always turn off the sound because their Snakes and Ladders, you're playing against no, you are playing against each other if it's 2-player. And the thing, I don't know that I can get it to cooperate here, but when you land on the snake's head, the snake gobbles you up.
Oh, okay.
So this is really, really fun and maddening at the same time. Oh, that one almost bit it. Not get to say that. Oh, that one bit it.
And the kids
Sorry.
love these kind of games. They love.
Yes. And with this one too, it's the computer. I didn't win on purpose. The computer helped me win. It wasn't intentional. It just was my luck, I guess, today. So this one is really great. Some of the others are clunky, I would say, but Uno and wherever it is, Snakes and Ladder, here it is. Those are always great. And they also have a really good die set in teacher tools.
Oh,
down here that you can use digitally.
Okay.
There's dominoes even too. I didn't know that. Where are the dice? Do you guys see the dice?
Oh,
I don't
there.
see it.
If you go down a little bit more, over to the left, it says dice and has a 2 and a 4. I'm sorry, to the right. I said left.
Okay, thank you. And they have spinners too, either marked or not. So you have to cue this up, and they want to use the funky ones. And I'm like, oh, we're not playing Dungeons and Dragons today. We're just playing the normal stuff. And then they throw it. And I was talking, sorry. But it has a lovely real sound to it. Can you hear it?
Mm-hmm.
So that's nice. I like that a lot. So those are the main things I use with Toy Theater, but there's so much more. Absolutely, there's so much more. Thanks for mentioning that so I could bring that to others' attention. But that's just the beginning. As we found out from our activity, there's all those different types of R. So I've seen a lot of success doing things this way and using the entire world of R and all the videos and all the strategies. But now we need to help them unlock all those R words like work. They'll say, oh, that's an OR word. No, it isn't. So then we might ask, then what? So I'd like to introduce you to Homer. This is my guy, Homer, and I'd like to introduce you to the Home Run Speech R program that I'm developing. And this is kind of a hybrid approach where I, as the speech coach, and the other coaches, the home-based coach, parent, or the speech therapist or speech therapy assistant, can join in our coaches circle, and we can talk about what works, what didn't work, help me understand why it didn't work, what else can I do, what can I try, because we're stuck. And as working on you always have to be flexible, and try something new. So I have a lot of those insights now as a 40-year clinician and doing all this research. It's a structured program starting from surprise, surprise, and going all the way up through other syllables. So Ray, Re, Ri, Ro, Ru, an air, ear, ire, or, an are, eri, iri, oro, and uru, and never that fast, of course, but for our time's sake. It has, excuse me, let me be my own grammar police, thanks. It has a baseball game theme, as you can see with Homer, my mascot. By the way, my tree root guy is Rooter, and he roots for all the teams. I have lots of materials and developing even more. And again, here's the coaches circle where we'll meet on Zoom once a week and replays for those who can't attend so that no one strikes out alone. Who wants to be left alone? You gotta have the help when you're not sure, because every case is quite different. When I think I've seen all the different things of kids and young adults, nope. Nope. They're all slightly different. So, and Homer helps with Homer hints. So work is not spelled out W-O-R-K. It is in one position, but in Homer's hints, it's W-E-R-K. And I have a screener or tryouts. Let's try out and see how you do. And we go from there to develop their game plan. And I have syllable practice, word types, and this shows you an example of ear words and how I would write those out. The Homer hints down below. And the guy who hadn't had a good except for beginning our words couldn't isolate it. It's so interesting. He just got 100% on these again today by using these hints. And then we go to sound chaining. Speech therapists may have heard of sound chaining before, but for parents, that is when we take a sound, put it into a word, and then the word, we build it out to a small phrase, a part of a sentence, and then expand it one more time and see if they can still keep that sound in place with all the other sounds around it in the sentence. And then when your kiddo is ready with all of the words, getting those really strong, we're going to play the game, the baseball game against the opposition teams. So the early birds and the fierce deer and the armadillos, the flying squirrels, offshore orcas, fire ants, McGuire there, he's kind of buff, as you can see, the panda bears, and the raccoon rascals. I don't know where you live, but in Michigan, they're little rascals. So we use that to play against, and the trading cards back here are going to be traded once they can say all those sounds to see how many points they get in the game. If they don't get them right, then they lose points in the game, and then we see, do the fire ants win, or does Homer's team win that day? And so you can practice it every day that way. Let me go back here. All of these different levels of the program, I also have 100 trial data sheets so that you can use those and reprint those and use those at those various stages. I felt really strongly about, because someone really emphasized it to me, that 100 trials per session is so darn important. And I was like, nah, 10 is good. So 100 is much better. And I must admit, she was right.
It's hard to get 100 trials, though.
It is. As a matter of fact, I'm presenting at another event, and we're going to do 100 trials for middle and high school level using literacy-based materials. So the home run speech is coming out soon on June. It's no longer June, July 30th. And here the QR code and this link, well, they work to an extent but they're not connected to the pay for it page yet. So I'm still working on that because I'm not a perfect person and I'm still learning. Even as old as I am, I'm still learning. But it will be soon. And then I'll be holding our coaches circle and getting started with people.
I have a question. So with the coaches circle or the weekly meetings, is that like for us as the clinicians, or is it for like the family to like who is participating in the weekly meetings?
That is a great question that I'm still trying to figure out because I think it will depend on how popular it is at any given time frame. My thought, though, from the beginning, it will be a mix of parents and grandparents and foster parents and speech language pathologists and speech language pathology assistants. That's my thought. But if we find that some are intimidated or just it doesn't feel right to them and they would just like a parents group and a clinicians group, let's just say, or a caregivers group versus coaches as opposed to clinician coaches, absolutely I envision that in the future. And I also envision this, and I don't know if you've ever worked in a school district before, either one of you, but oftentimes, especially in the past 10 years, school districts are denying kids to be seen in schools for public education for our therapy because it's just one sound. I could talk to you for another half an hour about that. But
I mean, even for our tick, a lot of my kids are getting denied services.
yes.
So,
And so that's where I started getting very concerned that they still need this development early on, not when they're 20, not when they're 17. They need it younger. They'll acclimate to it faster. The one girl that is tried it as a first grader, she did it in 6 weeks, done. The whole thing. All the way to conversational speech. And she went from the word level to conversational speech in the last 2 weeks of it. It was amazing. And she was heavily or extremely motivated because her name had an R in it.
right.
Her first name had an R in it. And she realized it herself. So it can take 3 months. It can take longer, but you've got to practice it every day because that is not going to arrive for 12 consecutive sessions, up to 60 consecutive sessions. So you have to work on it every day. It's so important.
So I have a question about that because I see my R kiddo once a week and I'm afraid of sending homework home because I don't want them to practice incorrectly. So
Is such a valid concern. So instead, until they have the could you, and a part of my program is I'm also going to have like in the future, some really cute model little girls and little boys maybe. But for right now, it's my old tongue and my old lips. And I'm going to include that. But could you give those kind of exercises to the parents instead and say, work on these exercises? Because if they work on this, then I can help them try to get their tongue into position for the sound. Okay. If they can do tongue bowl in and of itself can take weeks.
Yeah.
Weeks. And we use tongue depressors and different things to get that sensation and feel. And by the way, I've had a couple of people, like parents, will say, oh no, you're born with the ability to curve up your tongue on the side or not. And I say, well, let me see. Is there a tongue tie in there? Then I will agree with you. Otherwise, if it's not an anterior tongue tie, they can do it. They just haven't practiced it. It's just like a kid without training wheels on their bike. They haven't practiced that balancing act yet.
Right.
But do you intend for them to be able to? Do you fully believe they can? Sure. Just like I fully believe in a tongue bowl, tongue sides can be lifted bilaterally.
Yeah. Very interesting. I feel like now I have to go back and like rework my sessions, especially with those exercises at the beginning. And before I was just focusing on like, let's get your tongue like a taco and then
Yes,
put it back. But now I'm thinking, oh, well, yes, but then we have to make it arch as well, like the
exactly.
helmet. So now that's an extra step that I wasn't doing before. And so maybe that's one of the many missing pieces now that I'm noticing
Could
that
be.
might be
It
helpful.
could be. And let me ask you this. I have a form that I made with the helmet tongue um, for a kiddo that I have that's going into second grade, I think. And I put the description in there. Would that be something that you would find valuable in the resources that I send to you, along with the
Yeah,
Dolce and Fry
absolutely.
list?
Absolutely. Yeah, because I think it's the first time I hear of the helmet tongue.
Yeah.
Because
Well, that's
it's just
because I made it up
well,
to go
yeah,
along with the
yeah.
program.
Make it like a bowl or make it like a taco, and then like just put it up behind the molars and hold it tight. Like if I tell my girl, okay, make that tongue tight, she has no idea. Even though we have the mirror and the flashlight, and then her mouth is
Mhm.
so little that I try to look in her mouth when she says it. I can't see anything, so I can't really give her the feedback the way I want to. And it's just we're trying.
Yeah, yeah. And when we have kids, some of our kids, just like you were mentioning about the Ja, the
Yeah.
one little guy that I made this for, he has problems with, guess what? SHCH, jaw, and jaw, along with his R. And then he also has lateral lisp because he was talking like this. So I made this form for the helmet tongue to explain it, and then I put primary teeth in the arch to try to show a little different perspective with the tongue sides here and here. Um, so that is something that I would be happy to include in that packet.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, I think it'd be very helpful.
Okay. Thank you for mentioning it, and I'll be sure to do that. And if I don't, nail me on it because it could happen.
No problem.
It wasn't my intention, but I do think that the more I think about butterfly tongue and taco tongue, that people are missing that critical piece
Yes.
with that excuse me, it's late. With that concave tongue instead of convex or that arch being critical to get the tongue as high as we need it to be.
Right.
Any other questions?
Last question. For the program, how long does it run for? Like
Definitely.
Yeah, I was wondering that
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Indefinitely, because I mean, well, as long as I'm capable,
Okay.
as
So
long
it's
as I'm capable, then I
is
want to
it like
continue this.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Is it like per kid that we're working with or I guess would it be like because is the program like individualized per kid or is it
No,
something that rotates? Because like hopefully
no.
I would love to discharge my child eventually because they produce their R's, but then another one's gonna come through. Um,
Yes. And
okay.
it took me years. Romy, it took me years to learn this. And so if it takes some time in quite a handful of clients, students, children to work with and see all the variability, and oh, I remember that one now. Yeah, that worked with this one. It didn't work with that one, but okay. Um, but no, I don't have intention. I do have intentions that or belief that the program is going to increase in cost. Um, but as far as if you get the program from me, I want you to keep coming with the questions because then I can learn. I can
Right.
learn what else I don't know about the R. Ooh.
Peggy, I have another question. So,
Yes, Kayla.
would it be possible for like a company to pay for this or like a school to pay for it? Because sometimes
Oh,
like schools
yes.
have funds, especially at the beginning, or companies have like, I don't know, at the end of the fiscal year, which is coming up, or the calendar year, where we can request maybe.
Yes, as a matter of fact, that is something that I wish I had to be able to say to parents, your child doesn't qualify for services in the school. I'm so sorry. Because I felt terrible telling parents because it was my passion. I loved art. Those are the kids I wanted on my caseload. But yes, I could see that this could be a great RTI. I don't know if you're familiar with that terminology, but response to intervention, whereby you could take this information then and you could be Homer's gal, guy, and you could direct how the parents, you could roll it out. Now, what I anticipate, Keela, is that I would, I would prefer, I guess, that it would be like that $97 cost per each clinician in a school district, or maybe they buy five and five
Yeah,
of the
that would make sense,
clinicians are
especially, yeah,
trained in
yeah,
it, you know.
yeah.
Um, and then they can be trainers of trainers. But
Yeah, because it would be per like if I need it for myself, right,
mhm,
then it would be the 97. But if it's like a school district, you
mhm.
never know how many SLPs. Okay.
Right. And then also, I don't know about your circumstance, Romy, or yours, Kayla, but if either of you have speech language pathology assistants, which we are not allowed to have in Michigan, that's where I'm sitting right now. We don't have those in Michigan yet. It'll be a long time, probably still, maybe. But if you did, if you had a team, then you could buy a team group and then they could bring in all the different cases. The one thing about keeping a parent coaching group or a caregiver group different from clinicians is we would want, we're still going to need a level of HIPAA compliance for both groups, but definitely we as speech therapists know we would want that a little bit more elevated perhaps for the clients that we work with. Whatever a parent divulges about their own child, that's one thing. But for me, I haven't said the guy's name that's 20 or the 17-year-old or the first going on to second grader. But those are the thoughts that I have right now. Do you have suggestions about that, either of you?
Yeah, I mean, I
Would
think,
be
well,
fair.
in Florida, we definitely have SLPAs. I personally don't have any right now because with virtual, I'm with the virtual schools through
Mhm.
me, but I think we might start thinking about SLPAs. Um, but yeah, I think that would definitely be helpful too. And I think, yeah, I think there's it's not that hard to stay HIPAA compliant.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, yeah, and I feel like there's so many clinicians that feel underprepared to work with R, even after going to grad school and everything. Like
Oh, yes.
we were just giving a typical like RTIC course to transcribe and analyze, which I haven't transcribed in years. I have, but when it comes to R, um, I definitely did not realize how underprepared I was until I started getting my art kids. And unfortunately, with the school system, they've been transferred to other therapists when the school year is over. So we don't have that much generalization like year to year with the same kid. So
Yes.
technically, I haven't seen like true success because my kids aren't with me long enough to see it. However, if I feel like I'm more equipped with how to do a good um, delivery of services with R, they could be getting results faster. Um,
Yes.
it shouldn't have to be a whole school year that we're making some progress, but not enough as I would like to see.
And
Um,
only a little smidge better than the beginning of the year by June. And then you say, see ya, have a great summer. And they
Well,
lose it all.
well, and
one,
sometimes like kids are just discharged because they
Oh, yeah.
plateau.
yeah,
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the worst case scenarios.
Yeah.
Or it's documented that they're at the sentence level when they can't even produce an because I've seen that too.
Yeah.
Oh, I've had that. Have you had that also, Romy?
I feel like yes, when they document it as like consonant R and not vocalic R. So like they'll say, oh yeah, the student can produce R in sentences like what Kayla just mentioned, but it's the consonant R. But once you throw in a vocalic R, they don't have it. So yeah.
They don't have the what? They don't have the They don't have the
No.
Yeah, and it's so important. So important because
Yeah.
and I just didn't even realize I realized there's air and ear and so on and so forth, but I didn't realize that it all still came right back to the root of
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, it was a pleasure talking to both of you, meeting you today, and I hope that we can continue the discussion. I really love your questions. It helps me understand what others might be wondering about too.
Yeah. So are you
Thank
going
you
to
for
send us
saying
more?
extra. Oh, sorry.
It's all right, Kayla. Are you going to be sending us more information as the end of July approaches for the
Oh,
program?
absolutely. It's
Okay,
just a
great.
glitch.
Okay. It's fine, no worries.
It's a learning curve for Peggy that goes. So it's a big learning curve for me, but absolutely. As soon as I can start figuring things out as far as connecting, well, I actually did get the part of it to work late this afternoon, but it didn't connect to actually buying it yet.
It's fine, no problems.
But definitely I do. I definitely do. And I'm going to be sending all of you who couldn't attend today, I'm sending this all to you. And those worksheets that I indicated that I made for this presentation that I'm going to be sending to you too. So
Great.
thanks so
Thank
much.
you for saying extra, Peggy. I really
Oh.
appreciate you taking the time to answer the question.
I just really appreciate everything. You guys sticking in there with me on a Friday evening. Have a great weekend and see you soon. Baby.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Peggy. Bye, Kayla.